taste. I didn't like pre-test what it was going to taste like because I was like, then you fear it. If you've never done it, you just do it.
If it was really bad, yeah, you'd be like, I don't want to do that again.
But if you're like, I already know what that cough medicine tastes like, I just have to sit and look at it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Freida Wales, and today I'm joined in the tank by a truly boundary-pushing drag artist. Their performances can include anything from face stretching, skin stapling, and live bugs, all while captivating the viewer and encouraging us to have conversations about gender and our place within the queer community. One of Dragula's most shocking contestants in the show's 3 seasons, I'd like to welcome Hollow Eve.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Freida Wales.
Yes, thank you. I'm dressed as a little festive Easter bunny.
Yes, well, Easter bunnies that come with blood and like roadkill wreckage, those are great.
So let's just dive right into my questions, me being my whaley queen. Can you, pun intended, fill us in on the background of your name?
I was searching for a new drag name and wanting something that didn't necessarily encapsulate either gender, something where I could shift between genders and like feel like I had no boundaries. And that's when I came up with the name Hollow. I thought about how hollow is taken as such a negative word. Like it's usually used as vacuous or empty, right? And I thought, but that's only if you look at it as vacuous or empty. What if it's the space to be filled, you know? So hollow, a space to be filled, was absolutely the entire concept of what I wanted to be able to convey with my art. And then I'm like many, a Halloween fan. I have been for a long time. My left arm is a Halloween sleeve. I was just like, oh, Hollow Eve. It just kind of blended right in. And it is true that my initial drag name and the idea behind it was Hollow Eve of Destruction. That is absolutely what I was named. I had no idea who Eve of Destruction was at the time. I'd never heard the name. It's very possible that she was already working, but I was not on Instagram. I was not on Facebook. I was like, you know, getting down and dirty in like, you know, deviant queer art spaces in San Francisco. It was not anything but me being like, I am one of the most destructive people with art that I know. Not that I'm the most, but I am very destructive. Like I destroy my makeup, I destroy my costumes. I like the fantasy to be in many ways, I don't know, ruined. Mm-hmm. But the ruination is actually the real fantasy. Right. So like I can start out as beautiful or wherever it is I want and like kind of paint it in a stunning way, but I can quickly let that, you know, melt off my face.
How long have you been doing drag?
I would say the first time I stepped foot in drag was 2003. I was a drag king and I did Rush Limbaugh impersonation. And, you know, that was something that I did during college. So it's not something that I did all the time. I was getting a double degree and taking like 22 units a semester. So I was really fucking busy because I was working as well. So like I did drag here and there. After college, I was a part of a deviant queer art space called Mama Kalizo's Voice Factory. That's where my next round of like performance art / drag kind of comes to life. It was done in tandem with my ex-partner and the name was Basket Case. It kind of had that sense of like pulling things out of a basket, feeling crazy in the world, but not necessarily being crazy, right? Like, so like senses of gaslighting and all the other things that happen in this community. So, you know, and then I think, God, was it 8 years ago now? 8 years ago, Hollow was born.
And then before that, you had 15 years of ballet that involved a lot of theater. How has that lent itself into your style now?
Oh yeah, movement is a huge part of my art. I think it's sometimes hard to know. A movement is not always about moving the most you can. It's about choosing movement that furthers your story, your meaning, and your concept. So when I'm still, that's still me choosing movement, right? So, or choosing a lack of movement that is the most effective to convey the message. I love dancing. I'm passionate about it. I love modern dance. I love ballet. I love hip hop. It moves in because communication comes so much from the body, so much from the hands, so much from the facial expression. You know, learning how to tell stories with your body is like being able to do a lip sync without words. If you can lip sync well, turn those words into your own story and re-emphasize your story with your physicality, you get to master the world of performing and like creating a story and a concept and a meaning behind your craft. So, my years of experience in the theater, my degrees in theater, my years of ballet and dance, and all of that contributes. My degree in design, like these things all come together to create the person that can helm what I do as Hollow.
So you've got quite a bit of experience in all the realms then.
Yeah, I think I was born to live and breathe on a stage. And then like throughout my life, there were times when I gave it up because I felt like there wasn't a space for me. And then I had to stop like kind of gatekeeping myself. I mean, certainly there was a level of people saying, you're not attractive enough, you're fat, you're queer, you're, all of these things that were coming at me where, I never would have been able to act or move forward in the dance world in the same way, and drag allows me to really process myself, my space in the world, my concepts, my ideas authentically through my vision and my story, and allows me to like utilize like this very large set of skills that I've attained over my years of living.
Your performances play on the line of being extreme. What goes into how you plan your visuals, like safety and the message that comes behind it?
I ask 1,000,001 questions. I sometimes conceptualize numbers for years and years and years before they ever see the light of day. Some of them are quick and dirty, but my bigger pieces, the pieces that I'm most connected to, take a lot of really deep contemplation. I ask 1,000,001 questions and I get to the other side of it. And then I start thinking about ways to ask those questions without words. Mm-hmm. And that's where you start getting into the visuals and the performance elements of it. I'm very fond of elastic. It's asking a different question when it's loose. It's asking something totally different when it's stretched, when I'm pulled taut and tight. I like the idea of opening myself up. I like the idea of stretching myself. And I like physically doing that in a very kind of literal physical metaphor of like the idea of stretching yourself internally by, challenging your own cultural and social influences that have kept you kind of behind door. My process can be really, really long. I like really stupid details that nobody will ever see.
Me
that
too.
Make me
love
really
that.
satisfied, right? They make me really satisfied as an artist. Like it doesn't have to be anything that people like will like see. Mm-hmm. As long as I know it's present and I understand why it's there, it completes like the electrical circuit of performance for me.
The Dragula fan base is obviously very loyal. What's your most memorable interaction with one of your fans?
I have way too many. I have way too many. I'm the person who at a meet and greet spends 5 to 10 minutes with each person, mm-hmm. hugging, crying, talking, working out, all of our things. Like I'm really bad at it. Like I've absolutely shut down bars in a meet and greet. I have really deep connections with people who connect cathartically to my art. One of the spaces where I felt so extremely held by the audience was when I performed in Washington, D.C. And we were in this little beer bar and it was packed, just absolutely packed. All the performers were incredible. I was in this itty bitty tiny bathroom doing way too many things that needed a much bigger space, but was like, I'll make it work. And like, I don't know, I just felt I fell in love with everybody there. I fell in love with the audience, but I have those experiences with many audiences.
In a number of interviews, you've discussed in your contract that you don't like to charge trans and non-binary people to come see your shows.
Yes. So what I do is I work with each club to try to spread a kind of a sense of like me asking the doors to be opened. Like if you want me to come perform at your bar, let's have a conversation about making things more welcome for the trans community than most, predominantly gay bars are. And so I go into like contractual deals with each bar, and each bar is different. Sometimes the bars already have things in place where they have a sliding scale for trans individuals, or they just have a sliding scale. Sometimes they'll give me a specific number of people on a guest list.
Okay.
So if you're following me, I will, before I post in a city, I'll be like a few days before, I'll gather the guest list before I travel. And then I just give that to the bar, and I ask for your pronouns. And so they understand how to address you at the door as well. Sometimes I even have conversations about rainbow flags versus trans flags. And I have asked bars to put up trans flags when I'm performing.
What has been inspiring you to keep busy during the pandemic?
I think my own journey, as always, to the center of myself. There's a lot to process coming off of reality TV. There's a lot of trauma. And I think I've just been like sifting through who I am, what I want to do. And I'm on a very kind of deep physical, spiritual, and mental health journey that will lead me to having my chest removed next year. I've been trying on new names, and I've been plotting some pretty incredible large scale queer LGBTQIA plus gallery / museum installations that I'm grant writing and collaborating on right now. So I don't see those things as like coming to fruition for 2 to 3 years. I'll be working on them the whole time. That's how big they are. They're like very big. I have some cool stuff coming forward, but not anything concrete to discuss at this moment. Just really taking care of myself and doing the work to create bigger and more developed pieces versus creating constant, like small pieces that don't quite get where I want them to go.
We'll jump into something a little more fun and lighthearted for our last question.
Oh
We like to
my.
ask all of our attendees to the tank to do a nice whale call for us. Could you do a whale call?
No. Okay, so like, ooh.
That was perfect. Where can people find you online?
You can find me at holloweve.com. That's my website. I am at Hollow Eve on Instagram. I am the Hollow Eve on Twitter.
We'll make sure we have all the details in the descriptions below. And thank you so much for joining us today, Hollow.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was the whale of a good time.